Hi, my name is Desmond. I just want to show you the latest upgrade on my Nissan Serena van, which I use for my photography, and we tour around in and sleep over sometimes. There's a lot to see in New Zealand that's worth photographing. In my previous design, because I wanted to maintain the functionality of these seats, I've left the back seats in and I've put a box in the front, and I put the planks over the bed there, over the box in the front and the seats. And we had this box in the back here, which served as the kitchen, which we actually didn't use that much. This door used to open sideways. I put some hinges on it, now it opens this way. That becomes a table, and it's fairly useful like that for the time we did the cooking and stuff. The problem is it blocks off the toolbox down at the bottom there, so if you want to get to anything in there, you have to take it out to get to the toolbox. So I decided to change things slightly and move this out of the way. Lift this seat up. Make another box that goes in there. Now this box has some gaps in it because there's two metal ridges here. That's where the seat clips into when it closes, and they're a little bit higher than the rest, so it rocks on there if the bottom is all the way along. So I've made these gaps to line up with them. And this box now, it's 1 meter long, slides in there. There's the ridges in between. And now I take my kitchen and I slide it in there. So now if we stop somewhere, we've got the back open, we can sit here. It's like having an extra room, rather than when you stop and you either got to sit back in the front seats where you've been all day, or you got to walk around or just grab deck chairs and sit outside somewhere. We've got the shelter, we've got the lid above us. You can sit and take photos with your camera or whatever, admire the scenery. And we've got a whole new room here, and we can access the huge toolbox in the back here, which is that's so much more useful. When you want to cook, pull this out. You don't have to pull it out all the way. You can grab what you want and maybe put it on a table. Or I'm thinking of getting maybe a camping table which is 1/2 meter high, which is this height. Put it here, slide this all the way out onto there, do your cooking away from the inside there, slide it back in again. I have this large tarpaulin here, and that I plan on throwing over the back. I'd actually like to get an SUV tent. You get these SUV tents that go all around the back and have a nice big living space there, because we have 2 little dogs with us, and then we can keep them contained, and if we stay a bit longer somewhere, we've got somewhere to be comfortable. Most of the time we only stay over 1 night anyway, and then we move on to the next spot. My previous box was all closed up on either side like this, and the problem we had, I initially thought we'd be sitting on the chairs and we'd make our bed for the night and then pull the bed apart when we leave again, and I had access over there, but once we had made our bed we just couldn't bring ourselves around to pulling it apart again, and we couldn't access anything underneath here. So what I've done this side, I've made it open up. There's a table, so that when you pull something out you can do what you need to without putting it up on top of the bed. You've got working space, and slide it back in again. And this being in here gives it more structural integrity, so it's less likely to collapse, because as you can see I'm not exactly a woodworker by trade. I've got this strap holding it down. The bolt holes from the seats that came out, I've put some little eyes on their metal connectors, so we can bolt this down for health and safety, so that doesn't come flying up if we're in an accident or something. On this side I've left it completely open, so we can pull stuff out if we want. What I did is I added another board here, and I've made a space underneath. I've got a little camping table that slides in underneath there. It's in the house at the moment, but it slides perfectly underneath there now, so I don't have to keep looking for a place for it every time we finish off. But this can slide out, and again you've got working space, you've got table space to do something, get the milk out, make a cup of tea or whatever, without having to put it all up on the bed. Now the planks that I have, this one here, I'll go around to that side again. Now when I assemble it, I've actually got one screw holding it all together. Just this spot here, I cut this to fit properly in there, and I screw that in just to hold it in place so that doesn't go anywhere. This plank sits nicely here. I've got another one, and I've had to just tilt my seat forward slightly. We've got 1.8 meters from there to there, and I don't have to slide my seat forward. I just tilt it forward and I tilt it back when I want to go in the morning. I still have to cut one more piece of this to go over here to keep it level, and then we tilt this seat forward. Now on our last trip I had these two Kmart gym mats, and there's actually nothing wrong with them as gym mats, but I had thought they were going to be good for sleeping on. They fitted nicely in here, two of them side by side, but they're too hard for sleeping on, which is not their fault, they're gym mats. But we ended up stopping at a town this second night and buying a mattress topper to try and make things more comfortable. It didn't help all that much. So then I found these Kmart dog beds. 4 of them fit perfectly in here. It's a bit tight fit because of that seat now, but these are very comfortable, and once they're in there, they're nice and snug, and we should have a much more comfortable sleeping experience next time. Now this is all part of taking dogs with you. We also got this nice special dog bed, and what's good about the Nissan Serena is this seat here folds flat, and that goes there, and our dogs have a place to sleep in theory. At least one of them normally stays in there, and then the other one comes and lies by us, and then there's 2 lying by us, and then they're back over there, but they've got a place to stay. You can see in the front here what I've done with a black towel. Another thing that happened on our trip, I had this thing that goes on the windscreen. I can't store it there because it's too reflective. I had to store it underneath somewhere, but because we couldn't get in anywhere, I just forgot about it. So I've got this black towel, and it stays under there now. There's 2 umbrellas in there. They're there for easy access, and also it gives it a bit of stability. If you take a corner fairly fast, things don't slide too much. I've got my camera under here too. So I've got a camera for quick access. So this now has made things a bit better there. And what I do with the camera bag is I store it upside down so the lid can fold downwards. You don't put your hand and lift it up. And sometimes you pull over, you want to take a picture, you can just grab the camera out quickly and get a photograph. So that's my thoughts on the Nissan Serena modification now, is have it open on the sides, and if possible put a little kitchen unit, sliding kitchen unit under the back there, so that you leave that back area open. Another thing I'll tell you about the Nissan Serena is that you can't open the back door from the inside. But when you're inside, there's this cover here that you can remove, and that's the escape switch, so that if your door won't open, it's got a little electric button at the back there. You pop this cover off and you can open it like that. So when you're sitting inside there, you can actually lean down and open it from the inside. There it is right there. I've got the cover stored in the toolbox at the bottom, but it's just a tip to make it easier, so that at night you can be sitting in here. You can get out from there, you can sit on the edge of the bed, you can pop it open, you can climb back on, put your shoes down here and climb back into bed. You don't have to climb in and out of the side door. This is something else I got from Kmart for $2.50. Little nice hanging lights. this little roof net here is very, very handy when you're lying down. You can tuck things in. There's a zip, you can put your keys and everything for easy access. But these particular lights, they're not extremely bright. I don't know why we have to have a flashing function on it, but they were more than bright enough for us. Because when you're in there, in the back of your van, you don't really need to light everything up very bright. So, the brighter it is inside, the easier people can see inside. So what I would do is I just click this onto the dim setting and actually put a blanket on top of it, just have a little bit shining out, and you could see well enough to do whatever you needed to do inside there. So another thing I'm going to connect up properly next time, just a little USB light. Just plug into USB. It's very dim, but it's everything you need. It's more than enough to see when it's pitch black outside. Something else that's useful is these USB bricks. This one's a 20 amp hour, pretty good, and it lasts for ages. You can charge your phone 5 or 6 times on it. And I've got these little cigarette lighter adapters that I can charge that with while you're driving, and then you can charge your phones or whatever else you want from here. This is the clip-on fan we got from Amazon as well. On the lowest power, it's more than strong enough, even in our bedroom, to reach across the room and have a breeze and a bit of white noise while you're trying to sleep. And it goes for 26 hours on one charge on the lowest power. And the lowest power is all we've ever needed. So that you can use it for 3 nights before having to charge it again. Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update to my van. We learned a lot from the last trip. Hopefully you can learn from my experience and not make the same mistakes. The important thing I learned is that the bed's going to stay where it is. We're not going to pull it apart every time, especially when you've got piles of blankets. Side access, you've got to be able to access easily. This area here is not necessarily reserved for anything special. I call it cram space. If you've got your tarpaulin over and it rains at night, you get up in the morning and it's totally wet, you don't want to pack it back into its bag, you cram it in there. When you get to the next place, you just pull it out again. So leave a bit of space for wet stuff, raincoats and things like that you can just shove in there and pull out later. You can maybe put down a plastic tarpaulin there so that you can just pull all the water and rubbish out every time you pull it out.